All right, we got one like, 0 people in the chat. 5 minutes early. Usually people start popping in. There's Glenn. Brian Mons, how are you? Troy, how are you, my friend? Jesse Good, Jager, how are you guys? Glad that you're all here. Mag XL, how are you? Philip Miller, Janie, so glad to see you this weekend, dear. So glad to see you. Wesley September, how are you, buddy? Were you here last week, Wesley? I don't recall seeing you. Kathy, and I must have missed you if I didn't, because I was looking for you. Magdalene, how are you? Just B. Thank you, Brian Mons. Snowman Dave. Jimmy, what's up, brother? MJ, there she is. How are you, dear? Holy cow, it's moving fast. You fell asleep. Okay, good. I thought you weren't here last week, and I was just like, maybe I missed you, maybe I didn't. It was kind of weird in my head, I thought. Hollow Days, how are you? Tijuana Border Jumper. Now, I've always wanted to ask, do you jump across or back across? Just kidding. Just kidding. You like hop each side. You're like, What's up, Tyler 420? Cosmin, how are you? Michelle Nichols, Randy Man. Sean, what's up, buddy? How are you doing? I'm an American. Dude, is it hostile over where you are? I know it's hostile down there in certain places. We have actually a person that was dating one of my friends back in high school. My friend's older brother. He met her in college, but she was from Mexico. She has family in Mexico. I don't remember where. She was just down there like 2 weeks ago and almost lost her life. Nothing, Jane. Nothing. No kind of any feedback on that. Carol Hollenbeck. Smitty, how are you? Gavin Rogers. New England Dirt Roadie. What's up? Yeah, I live like 10 minutes, 15 minutes from Whitehall. Yep. Like Los Angeles at night. Okay, that's crazy. That's cool. Yeah, I thought it was nice over there, like quiet and stuff. I'm not really familiar. I've never been, like, the furthest south I've ever been was like a little below Jacksonville. So not too bad. Yeah. I know about the incident. I've talked about the incident here. I'm pretty decent friends with the Balfour brothers. They both write. Both the brothers are investigators from up here and stuff like that. There's been numerous sightings over there. I've had a couple different other sightings shared in that area. I've had some weird stuff happen when I've been fishing up in like Dresden. No, you're definitely not late, Carol. Definitely not late. Dresden is kind of below. Is it below Whitehall? Yeah, it's kind of below Whitehall. No, it's below Ty. It's just above Whitehall. Yeah, just above Whitehall. And we were fishing out there one night, and we heard a bunch of weird stuff once, but it's pretty creepy out there. You got 41 inches in Massachusetts. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Arabic! My dad is doing wonderful. Thank you for asking, brother. I was just talking about you today to my dad, to be crazy enough. Pups, how are you? So glad that you're here with us. This is going so fast. Holy cow. I wish there was a way I could slow it down. 41 inches. I cannot even fathom that. Frick. That's crazy. Took a pound and like Bunny Blue or Bonnie Blue or whatever her name is. That's bad. That's a terrible joke. That's an Aramaic joke right there. That was a terrible Aramaic joke. What's up, Nick? SDL, how are you? I'm glad that you are on the mend. Ginger, what's going on, brother? How are you? Little left. It's to the left. Low and to the left, brother. But thank you for asking. Sonia! I've been looking forward to tonight, man. Holy cow. I'm doing well, Nick Hendricks. Glad that you're here with us tonight. I'm glad that all you guys are here with us. When he comes in, he'll come in. I think he's going through that cognitive. I think he's got dementia. I'm waiting for the mobile vet. They should be coming this week. And so I'm not about to pick him up. He'll come in on his own. Shelby, how are you? Werewolf. Yeah, it's the curls, right? It's the curls. I like him. I think he's pretty freaking awesome. Bigger than Texas. Yeah, I like, so at night I kind of joke with him, even though he doesn't understand what I'm saying. I'm just like my little sundowner. I call him my little sundowner because sorry guys, I don't he like literally is pretty decent throughout the day. And then 7 o'clock comes around and he'll just like stare off at a wall. And I'm like, buddy. And he'll pop around and like, no, that's Southern Charmer. That's what Senator Kennedy says. As big as, well, what does he say? How's he say it? As big as Dallas. When he does his Senate hearings and stuff. That's why I said that. Key West, how are you? Comfortably number. Robert Sharp, how are you, buddy? Oh yeah, well he's not looking into any alternate dimensions. Tigger is looking at the wall going, he got lost last week. I heard him crying. I don't know if I told you guys this, but I'm sitting recording and I hear, what the hell is he doing now? So I get up and I walk out and I look in my living room downstairs. He's not down there. I go to the back room. He's not there, but I knew I heard him down there. And I go into the furthest reaching room in my house, and he's standing in the dark, lost. And I'm like, buddy. And he like, all happy to see me. And I'm like, poor buddy. So he's my little sundowner. Sonny the Wandering Gypsy, how are you? I believe I said hi to everybody. There's John Sumner. How are you, buddy? Oh, thank you, Sonia. Thank you so much. I don't watch other channels. I don't watch other channels. I know I've seen some of the videos. I don't comment on other channels and how I feel about them. That's up to you. I don't watch other channels. I don't have any kind of feeling for other channels. It's just, I don't strictly, like I don't have time for it. I mean, I get up, I start researching, reading, recording, and it's just, what am I, for me to watch another channel would be like, I would, you know, I feel like when other channels watch other channels, it's so they can come up with ideas because they're fucking lazy. So that's why I kind of don't. You know what I mean? Yeah, her backyard's dangerous. Definitely. That's about all I'll say. But I got some badass books. I know I've seen what she's caught. I mean, it's not, that's why I don't comment on other things. I'm not like, if I, Kirk Stokes and Scott Carpenter have caught the most amazing stuff that is in my eyes. That's it. So, other than that, I don't know. You like that one, STL? I'm gonna start merging to. I'll always do Dogman, but I'm gonna start merging to Black Government Project stuff and cryptid relations because it's all related. And like, this channel is 8 years old. That's all I've been talking about for 8 years is Dogman. And Dogmen are being used by the government as a weapon. They are dangerous, but there's a lot more dangerous stuff in the world today. And it's just absolutely nuts. So I want to just kind of broaden the horizons here. It all falls under the umbrella of the Luciferian agenda. If you guys caught the 2 Epstein videos I did and other stuff that I've been doing, but I got 2 new books. I like to share new books with you guys. If you guys get a chance, this is a new book that I found. Christine Joanna Hart, the Christine Joanna Hart Super Soldier story. She's actually documented former military. True story, famous ex-Fleet Street journalist discovery. She was in the government secret black magic Children Project and secret monarch or slave puppet used to spy on terrorists for Rupert Murdoch, her White Rabbit handler, and to bring down the national newspaper Hart used by the Daily Mail to spy on a list of celebrities at a party where programming took place by a man nicknamed the Doctor, who was nicknamed the Doctor by his Hollywood patients. Her task of whistleblowing for Hugh Grant hacked off while she went live at the lake house where her life was in danger. Sunday Times. She's been interviewed on BBC, ITV, and other stuff like that. And then, so if you want a pretty decent book, I've scanned through it. It's pretty freaking good. And then, not cryptid related, but for anybody who loves the jungle, I recommend getting this book, The Jungle Keeper by Paul Rosalie. He's been on a bunch of podcasts. Super smart, super brave guy. Awesome. Hollywood royalty, Arabic. Hollywood royalty. Pretty much. When a person called it right. Oh my God. Fucking John. Arabic! Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. There's Eli. How are you, buddy? Popping in. All right, let's start this night off. I've got 3 amazing Lizzo stories, and I have an assortment. of paranormal, cryptid, just a range of really good experiences for you guys tonight. So I want to start it off with this. I used to live in a neighborhood across the street from a graveyard. Strange things have occurred throughout my life, even when I did not live in that neighborhood. However, when I did live there, things happened more frequently than normal. I lived with my stepdad, my mom, my biological sister, and some step siblings at the time. Me and my stepbrother shared a room. We were in third grade. We would sleep in a bunk bed, and I slept on the top. One night, while we were going to bed, I heard something that made my eyes open wide. Our closet door that was straight ahead, beyond the foot of our bed, slowly crept open, making a haunting, almost vocal sound. I remember not knowing if my stepbrother was asleep on the bottom bunk, so I whispered his name, Zoen. I then tried again a little bit louder, Zoen, did you hear that? I heard my brother make a horrible gasp, the kind of gasp somebody makes when they see something terrible, and I looked into the closet and I saw two green eyes staring at me, and then at Zoen. The two eyes were hanging above a toothy green grin. It kind of reminded me of the eyes and smile of a flying cat from Alice in Wonderland. It gave me goosebumps and made my eyes water. I wasn't sure what specifically it was that dragged the reaction out of me. As terrifying as it was, I threw my Spider-Man body pillow at it. My brother had one just like it. I know it's a pretty stupid move, but I was a kid and did situation. The door nearly closed because of my excited throw. However, it did not latch. It was still barely open. After my brother and I sat in silence for a second, I asked him, did you see that? And he responded, yeah, one of us has to go get mom and my dad. Right when he was about to finish that sentence, the door to the closet started to creep open again. A high pitched noise was even louder and slower than before. We both were in horror when we saw it again. The door revealed its glowing green face, still giving an ear to ear, sickly green smile. This time, though, Zoen threw his Spider Man body pillow at the door. The door squeaked and almost closed again. We watched it for about another minute, then it started to creep open a third time. That was the noise that was in the in the paragraph. I don't know what came over me, but I said, fuck this, as I ran as fast as I could down the long hallway to my mom's room, yelling. I woke everyone up. My stepdad went into our room and switched the lights on. He opened the closet door and turned the closet light on. There was nothing there. My brother and I were yelling and babbling, trying to convince him what we had seen, but he did not care. He tried to say it was the crappy fake glow of the dark vampire teeth in the closet, but Zoen and I both knew it was definitely more than that. Moreover, even if that explains the face, it would not explain how the door opened several times on its own. Everything went back to normal for a while, except for when I woke up with a nosebleed a few mornings in a row. The next summer, I had to take a summer school in town not too far away. It sucked. I didn't know anyone. One day, everyone was sitting in the cafeteria to watch a dumb play. It was Peter Pan. I started to talk to this kid that was next to me. We seemed to make a connection, like maybe we could be friends and hang out sometime. I told him about the green face thing in our closet. I think maybe because the play reminded me of it that night. The kid's face went blank. He looked like a deer in headlights. He started speaking Spanish. Then his eyes started to tear up in a nervous whisper. That's Azazel. He's a demon. A part of me felt bad for leaving my brother in the same room with that thing. But if I didn't, I don't know what would have happened. I have more experiences, true supernatural experiences. I'll have to share them with you guys. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you guys. P.S. There are things out in reality. If you know someone who says they experienced something, please be there for them. It's hard, especially when you have them all by yourself. And believe your kids. Wait, Norman Comics, today's your birthday? Buddy, happy birthday, and I'm sorry you got dumped today, bub. That sucks nuts. Happy birthday, Norman Comics. And screw that lady. Screw her. That's right. It is what it is. Jenny Jane, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate that. So, crazy, interesting news. My Dogman experience, I shared with you guys. There was 5 of us, including myself. And for the last 2 weeks, I have been talking to my ex-girlfriend that was from that long ago, that had the experience with us. And I had brought up that night with her, the first night we were talking. And her instant word, like I was like, do you remember? And she almost like knew what I was going to say. She goes, the vampires? And I was like, because that's what the girls said, because that's instantly what they thought when they jumped in the car. And I was like, yeah, yeah. And she goes, yeah. She goes, it was the scariest night of my life. And so sometime here soon, she's going to share what she saw. Anushka, how are you? Kamel, how are you? And I'm pretty excited about that because it just verifies what I saw. No, that's what the girls said in the experience before everything went down, because they like, we heard the noises, we saw the eye shine, and the 2 girls just screamed out vampire. And when I shared my experience, I always say I don't know why they did scream out vampire. We weren't watching any vampire movies or anything prior to. Like, we had watched Dazed and Confused earlier in the day. So, but yeah, it's pretty interesting that just randomly, she reached out and I started talking to her and we started talking about that. And I was like, dude, that is crazy. So, Lake Superior, how are you? Who else did I miss? I know I missed somebody. Steve O, what's up, brother? How are you, my friend? Mm-hmm. 175 Hydro. Has anyone seen LA Shitwater lately? Truth Quest, what's up, buddy? Matre. I'm doing well, Gavin. I don't think you heard me say hi to you twice, though. It goes fast. This thing goes fast, doesn't it? Yes, we are live here, Kakalina. Definitely, we are live. It's midnight on a Saturday. How are you? I'm glad that you're here. Mr. Poor, how are you? Alligator Wars? No, I don't, AG. Nope. Thank you, Jane. Yeah, I do, definitely. New England. It's going by fast, man. Because it's your birthday, yes. Clint, how are you? I don't share Nephilim stuff during live streams. You've heard me say that too before, Sean. I know you've been here when I said that. I think they're more or less a regular upload to talk about. You know what I mean? Nick Hendricks. Nick Hendricks didn't hear me say hi to him either. All right. I believe this is a crawler experience for Norman Comics. Happy birthday, my friend. And I want to share my experience I encountered as we haven't been able to make sense of it until this day. 8 years ago, my boyfriend and I were parked on a suburban street down the road from where he had lived. This was near midnight, and the street was completely quiet, no cars in sight. We live in Australia. We were talking when suddenly we noticed this figure in front of us. We both described it the exactly same way. It was very tall, very skinny, beige in color, long arms, long legs, no hair, and was hunched over. It was not running, but fast moving than a usual walking pace. It was almost creeping about. We both froze and both said, "Do you see that thing in front of us right now?" We were in shock and scared. We had never seen anything like it and never heard of anything like this before. Never heard of the word crawlers up until now. It stopped moving, turned its head, and looked straight at us. It tilted its head a little, looking at us, and then it kept moving forward. I thought I saw it smile at us, but now I can't be sure. I can't be for sure. I felt like I was crazy at this time. As soon as it took its eyes off us, my boyfriend turned the car on. As we tried to follow it, though, it turned a nearby corner and we lost it quickly. We looked down the street and could not see where it had gone. I think we were just very curious at the time, like we didn't know whether it was an alien or what. We went straight home and were too scared to leave again that night. We felt crazy when we tried to describe it to others what we had seen. Thank you for allowing me to share. Andy Davis, what's up, buddy? It's our youngest son's birthday. He's 21. Holy shit. Hang on. My daughter's birthday's today. I got to wish my daughter a happy birthday. Hang on 1 second. Abby, I forgot it was midnight. Happy birthday, baby girl. 21. So proud of you. Love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Boop. I cannot believe how fast life goes. Like 21 years old. It's just Nick Hendricks, you know what I'm saying? Everybody that has kids knows what I'm saying. Like it moves so fast. Otis Driftwood, how are you, buddy? You guys are my friends. Literally, you guys are my friends. I do nothing except this channel. My life consists of this channel and my kids. And that's pretty much what it is. So you guys are my friends. I don't know you personally. If I got to meet you personally, like I know Aramic over the phone, Andy, Janie, um, and any person that I've ever talked to in real life have like just it's good pups. You know, I cannot. It's just you guys are my friends. I fucking love all of you. My son is 10. It is a blink of an eye. I remember Abigail when she was blowing bubbles. Like, I remember the first time my ex-wife changed her diaper and she farted and a little poop came out and hit her in the mouth. Ha ha! Bitch. I'm just kidding. What's up, do something, Diff? And then, you know, Abby's always had some ranky farts since day one. Little juice box. I gotta check and see. Sorry. I love you, Daddy. See you tomorrow. Juice box is 21. That's her nickname, Juice Box. So, all right. How about another experience out of Australia, and then we will do a Lizzo story. I grew up in a haunted, demonic house. It's now been abandoned since we moved out in Brisbane, Australia. Speaking of Brisbane, is Simone here? Anybody seen Simone tonight? Krista Lloyd, how are you? Thunder Blue, how are you? Time in the past. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Two. I got two, Wesley. Abigail and Isabel. Yeah, send her a message. See if she's all right. All right, let's get on with this Australia story. Down in Argyle. Yeah, buddy. I know right where that is. All right, here we go. I grew up in a haunted demonic house, and it's now been abandoned since we moved out, Brisbane, Australia. I don't often think about it because it's definitely scared me, and just talking about it freaks me out, but here goes. I was about 9 years old. I'm 27 now. My parents decided to move out of a small apartment complex and start renting a house together in Brisbane. We couldn't have. Eli, thank you so much, buddy. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. We couldn't afford much, so it was a cheap and very old looking house. Nothing major my dad couldn't fix up, he thought. Keep in mind, the owner of the property lived in another state, so it was hard to get into contact with him. Once moving in, there was red flags from the go. When we moved in, there was a big, gross, and tacky-looking rug in the kitchen with weird, sus, old blood-looking stains. Nope, that's got to go, we thought. We rolled it up and chucked it. Ben YouTubin, thank you so much. All right, next, if anybody does anything after this, I'm going to thank you after I finish. So just no. The property had a big backyard of acreage, so there was lots of trees. For some reason, upside down horseshoes were nailed on some of the trees and one in the kitchen. Again, we thought, fucking no, too weird and creepy, that's going. Years later, after looking more into it, we found out that hanging upside down horseshoes was meant for good luck and to get rid of negative energy. But we did not realize this at the time. And after taking them down, we went through many years of bad luck throughout our lives while living in that house. At first, apart from the house looking creepy and old, there were no physical signs of anything paranormal. But as a kid, I loved playing outdoors. I was a tomboy, especially having a big acreage of land in the backyard. But soon enough, being a kid that plays in the dirt, I started finding things in the dirt. I found clothing buried in random parts of the property. My mom would occasionally see little bits of clothing sticking out of the dirt as well. Being curious, we dug them up. And it was always clothing from a woman or a child, sometimes even more odd shoe here and there. My parents didn't seem to care too much, and my dad was a skeptic. They always had some excuse for why stuff was there. My house was lifted from the ground so I could go under the house and play. One day I found bones buried under there. This is when my mom realized that this was too much of a coincidence and told my dad. She wanted to report it to the police, but my dad just said, "Don't waste your time. It's most likely old cattle bones." So we listened to Dad. All right, Lizzo story. You guys pick. I'm going to give you the titles because I titled them tonight. Gold Rush of the Grime Stitched Kitchen, The Night the Bigfoot Got Served, or The Night the Backwoods Went Bad and Then Better. You pick one, two, or three. Bigfoot. Oh, two. There we go. Bigfoot, Bigfoot, Bigfoot. We got a whole bunch. We got a whole bunch for Bigfoot. So here we go. We're going to start the night off. The night of Lizzo experiences with Bigfoot. The night Bigfoot got served. I need a sip of soda here. The neon sign over Mac's Diner truck stop flickered like a busted heart monitor, humming open 24/7, coffee, diesel, and dreams into the midnight haze. Inside, the low, crackling jukebox shuffled through a mile-long playlist of country ballads, classic rock, and Stray in the Wind rap track that seemed to be trying to figure out where it fit. The smell of greasy fried onions, stale coffee, and cheap cologne and perfume hung in the air like a bad mixtape you could not turn off. In the center of this chaotic kingdom, perched on her plastic throne that once had been a busted airline seat, was Lizzo, the lot lizard, queen of the truck stop prostitutes, self-crowned empress of the broken-hearted and broken down. She wore a sequenced leather jacket that had clearly seen more bar fights than police precincts, and a pair of high-heeled boots that clacked against the linoleum with every step she took. Her hair was a riot pink and electric blue twisted into a beehive that could have housed a colony of bees if bees were as sassy as she was. "Ladies and gents," she called out, her voice ringing over the din like a busted megaphone. "Gather round. Tonight's menu includes a side of mayhem, a dash of romance, and the main course of, well, we'll see. Our staff, our drifters, our truckers, and, most importantly, our beloved Big Earl Johnson, a.k.a. Big Johnson, all are invited to a grand council of the night." A chorus of murmurs rippled through the room. The staff, a gang of dishwashing darlings and grizzled cooks who had seen more broken knuckles than broken eggs, snorted and rolled their eyes. The prostitutes, a glitter-capped brigade of women who turned the truck stop into a makeshift bordel, adjusted their feathered boas and tossed flirtatious glances at the rows of hulking semi-parked outside. The truckers, bearded, berry, and in need of a nap, grunted, while the drifters, the forever wandering, free spirit types, lightly tapped ashes into the cracked concrete, eyes glinting with a promise of an adventure. Earl himself stepped forward, his massive frame filling the doorway like a freight stop for a coffee break. He wore a denim jacket patched with a giant J on the back, his beard braided with tiny plastic charms that jingled with every step. As soon as Lizzo locked eyes with him, a blush impossible for a man of this size spread across his cheeks. "Earl," she whispered, the word slipping out like a secret between two conspirators. "You've been my biggest fan, my biggest protector, and now my biggest crush." Earl scratched his chin thoughtfully, the metal chain on his belt clinking. "Well, Lizzo, you already got the biggest truck stop in the world, but I guess I can be the biggest heart in it." She smiled, a wicked grin that made the neon sign seem like a shy child in comparison. "Then let's get this night started, shall we?" The night began as any other truck stop night would. Greasy fries, stale coffee, and a chorus of tired truckers humming Sweet Home Alabama over the hum of their idling engines. But something felt a little off, an unseen ripple of static of the night. It was as if the darkness itself had taken a deep breath, preparing for something monstrous. The doors of the diner swung open with a metallic screech, and a figure staggered in. He was hulking mess of bruises, a busted nose, missing a set of fingers, half of his left hand now just raw, ragged skin. He wore a battered denim jacket, the kind that had seen more than a GPS, and it was Snoop Dogg, the legend whispered about the back pews of the country fair and the front page of Gangster Rap Weekly. He was known as the Pimp of Pimps, the greatest rapper alive, a man whose verses could make concrete wall weep, if walls could weep, that is. He slumped into a booth, clutching his nose with a single finger and a grimace that could have knocked the neon sign off the wall. Yo, Lizzo, he rasped, voice barely audible over the jukebox. I need you to listen. I was fixing a flat out by the old gas line right there and then. He paused, looking at this missing finger with a mixture of fury and disbelief. Then a frickin' Bigfoot came out of nowhere, knocked my hat off, ripped my fingers clean off, and, well, broke my nose. The thing gave me a look that said, yo, I'm the biggest beast in this continent, and I ain't here for your beats. A low rumble of laughter bubbled from the truckers. It sounded like a diesel engine coughing on a cold morning. The drifters exchanged uneasy glances, and a few prostitutes rolled their eyes, as if they had heard this story 100 times before. Lizzo leaned forward, looking at her dad, her sequenced jacket glittering like a disco ball in a minefield. Snoop, you good? What's the plan? 'Cause we ain't exactly equipped for a Sasquatch showdown, unless we count Earl's massive biceps as strategy. Snoop tried to smile, but it came out all wiry, a bloody grin. I need those big boys in the lot. The thing's got size, it's got strength, but it's missing one tiny thing, brains. And we've got the only thing that can beat a Bigfoot, a mountain of stupidity and a lot of love. The air grew colder. A low guttural snarl echoed from the parking lot like a cheap car alarm that had been set on panic. Out of the shadows stumbled a creature that made the night sky look like an underlit bedroom. Bigfoot, or Bram as the drifters like to call him, because Bram is a lot easier to fit on a tattoo. Stood at least 10 feet tall, covered in matted fur that glistened like grease from the nearby mechanics pit. He had a busted tire in one hand, a wrench in the other, and a look that could only be described as, I'm here for free roadside Wi-Fi and a good fight. The collective gasp rose from the diner's occupants, and a few of the truckers started chanting, Bigfoot, Bigfoot, get coffee. It was ridiculous chant, but somehow fitting for the absurd showdown. Lizzo raised her hand, silencing the room with authority of a queen who had survived more than a few midnight raids. All right, listen up. That's our beast. That's our problem. And I think we all know the only way to deal with that monster is to make it part of the family. By, mounting it on the wall like a trophy. Right, Earl? Earl's jaw dropped, if a jaw could drop. That is, then his eyes narrowed. You want me to punch it in the face, get it on its knees, and then we'll hang it, like a deer in the woods. Lizzo replied, sarcasm dripping like cheap whiskey. The battle that followed was sort of thing that would have made a horror comedy director weep with delight. Bigfoot lunged at the diner with the speed of a freight train and the grace of a bulldozer. His massive arms swiped at the windows, sending shards of glass scattering like confetti. At a wedding, Snoop, despite his missing fingers and his broken nose, threw a handful of ketchup packets like grenades. Yes, ketchup at the beast. The packets burst, covering the creature in red, sticky sauce that made him look like a giant flaming tomato. Yo, Bigfoot, Snoop shouted. You ain't the only thing that can be saucy. He tried to rap a verse, but his words came out garbled and blood splattered. The Bigfoot, momentarily distracted by the sudden deluge of tomatoey goo, slipped on the greasy floor. let out a roar that sounded like a diesel engine on overdrive, and slithered toward the wall of the diner. Earl, who had up until then sipping on a cold beer and watching a romantic movie on his cell phone, tossed his massive trucker cap into the air and charged like a bull in a china shop. He grabbed a metal bar from the kitchen, an old dented skillet that had seen more kitchen fires than a firefighter's helmet, and swung it with the strength of 1,000 truckers. The skillet connected to the creature's chin, sending it reeling back a few steps. The impact caused Bigfoot to bounce off the wall, its fur shredded clumps of hair that fell like dead leaves. In the moment, something strange happened. The beast's eyes widened, not with rage, but admiration. For a split second, the giant looked at the chaos, then at Lizzo's darling grin, and then at Earl's hulking frame. It's like we're fighting a music video, the Bigfoot muttered in a low guttural voice that no one could make out. But the beat's off, and I'm out of sync. Lizzo took a step forward, the neon like a disco supernova. All right, big guy, she said, voice honed with sarcasm and something else, maybe a hint of genuine affection. If you think you can outmuscle a trucker and a rapper, you got another thing coming. This is my kingdom, and you're about to be the most prized decoration on my wall. The next few minutes were a blur of dirty jokes, thunderous laughter, and a massive bout of pure, unadulterated slapstick. The drifters threw ropes made of tire treads. The prostitutes tossed glitter like confetti, and the staff, armed with spatulas, rolling pins, and questionable-looking meat grinder, joined in the fray. Snoop, with his broken nose now acting like a makeshift helmet, managed to punch the creature in the head, if you could call the creature's head a head, giving the sudden painful jolt. At the climax of the chaos, Earl lifted Snoop onto his shoulders, the rapper's one-handed fist still raised, and together they performed the most ridiculous, heroic maneuver the truck stop had ever seen. They threw the Bigfoot toward the wall at the speed that would have made a freight train blush. The creature slammed into the wall with a sound like a bass drop at a rave, so loud that the neon sign flickered, the jukebox stopped mid-song, and the whole diner seemed to hold its breath. The Bigfoot lay still, its massive body pinned against the wall. Its fur was a mess of ketchup and grease, its eyes half closed in defeat, and its mouth open in a permanent, defeated grin. It was, in short, dead. Well, technically alive, but mountable. Ladies and gentlemen, Lizzo announced, wiping a stray drop of ketchup from her cheek, the beast has been tamed. Let's give a round of applause for our heroes. Snoop Dogg, my dad, the rapper who lost 2 fingers but kept his flow, and Earl Big Johnson Johnson, the trucker who can lift a semi and the heart at the same time, and all of you who made this night unforgettable. A stunned silence hung over the diner for a heartbeat, then erupted into a raunchy cheer that reverberated over the asphalt and into the distant highway. The drifters clapped, the prostitutes whistled, the staff shouted, "Yeehaw!" while flicking the switch on the jukebox, which miraculously began to play Snoop's greatest hits on loop. Earl knelt beside the mounted Bigfoot, now a grotesque wall mount, its eyes flashing in eerie muted glow. He wrapped an arm around Lizzo, the sequence of her jacket catching the neon glow like fireworks. You know, Earl, Earl said, his voice soft despite his massive physique. I think I love you more now than I love Diesel and a good slice of pie. Lizzo leaned in, her lips inches from his ear, her breath scented with coffee and cheap perfume. And I love you, Big Johnson. You're the biggest, baddest, and most beautiful trucker on the road. And you just proved that love can beat even a damn Bigfoot. Snoop, still nursing his broken nose, took a swig of, something that looked like gin and juice. Because he was too proud to let anyone serve him, He looked up at the spectacle. You know, he rasped, I've always said my rhyme could kill a beast. Didn't think it literally. But hey, if there's one thing I learned tonight, it's that even a pimp's pimp can get knocked down by a hairball on four legs. Thing is, we all got up together. The night wore on, the neon sign finally steadied, and the air filled again with the comforting sound of idling engines. The truckers returned to their booths, the drifters sipped back into the dark alleys, the prostitutes adjusted their feather boas, all while the staff began polishing the Bigfoot's fur with a wet rag, turning it from a mess of ketchup into a glossy, terrifying tribute. Lizzo glanced at the mounted beast, its eyes now dull but still somehow watching. We'll call you Bram, she declared, and we'll keep you right there. A reminder that even the biggest monsters can be taken down with a little love, a hell of a lot of ketchup, and a whole lot of trucker muscle. The entire diner erupted with cheers once again, the sound echoing into the night, mixing with the distant hum of the highway and the faint, lingering scent of fresh coffee. As the last chord of Snoop's beat faded into the darkness, the neon sign flickered one more final time, this time on purpose, spelling out in bright red letters, open 24/7, love, ketchup, and killers. And somewhere, deep in the shadows of the trucks, a faint rustle, suggesting that perhaps the Bigfoot, in its own bizarre way, had found a new purpose, serving as the ultimate conversation starter for anyone who dared pull into Mac's Diner Truck Stop after midnight, the kingdom that never felt more alive. Well, they had to make fresh coffee, Wiley, after the big fight. Bethany, thank you for becoming a member. What's up, Richard Minnick? How are you, buddy? No, nothing from the time. I will never hear anything from that, Tyler. It was more or less a good deed that night. We all did a good deed that night, and hopefully, um, if indeed it was a child getting ABDUCTED, that we stopped it. Emma, how are you tonight? Thank you very much. George, how are you, buddy? I'm glad that you're here with us. Maggie Mayhem, how are you? All right. West Memphis, Arkansas. uh, we'll do a Dogman experience right here. Ricardo, how are you? It was a spooky one, Samara. It was, definitely. Hercules Misfit, how are you, buddy? Good seeing you. What's up, Ryan? From 1998 to 2001, I lived in a small craftsman-style home in the Laurel Mountains, not too far from Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. The home had a twin next door to it built at the same time. By the time we bought our place, the one next door had been remodeled and expanded so extensively that it was unrecognizable. The story goes that the property belonged to two brothers, And the brother whose house ended up getting a makeover had two sons. Here's the fishy part, which I personally don't buy. Our neighbor in the other house told us the two boys were werewolves. LOL. I didn't know this part of the story until my husband told me later on after we both experienced some strange things, which I will elaborate in a moment. When he told my husband about this, he invited him in for a tour of his home. During the tour, he pulled back the carpet to show my husband a stone pentagram which was built into the slate of the foyer floor. Another fact that was not relayed to me until later. A month or so had passed. We got a really sweet rescue dog, a Sheltie. She was perfectly friendly, normal, and protective over our 7-year-old daughter. But over the following months, she started doing some strange things. I'd get up in the middle of the night to find her growling down the stairs at something. During the day, as I was watching TV or working in my studio, I am an artist, she would stand between me and the door to the dining room and growl with an inordinate amount of time for an inordinate amount of time. Over the months, she began to get a little more unpredictable. She would wet on the carpet, which she had never done up until that point, and eventually bit me. By that point, I was pregnant and scared to have a biting dog around a new baby. So I took her to the ASPCA. During my pregnancy, I started sleeping in another room away from my husband. He snored like a freight train, and it was hard enough to get rest being big and pregnant. One night, I woke to something crawling up from the foot of the bed over my feet and legs. I couldn't see anything and was just terrified that I couldn't even scream. I was able to put a hand up, grab the headboard. This was an old rickety double bed my mother in law had given us for a spare bedroom, and slammed it against the wall repeatedly. With that noise, I was finally able to scream, and whatever was on my legs disappeared. I ran to the hall to find my husband running to meet me. He asked me what had happened, and I didn't know what to say. That winter, a few months after our baby was born, I was sleeping in that room with the baby, who was in his crib. My mother was visiting, and we had all been enjoying an evening in front of the fireplace. The whole house was warm and toasty when we went to bed late that night, probably around midnight. At around 2 a.m., I woke to a baby screaming, and when I tried to get up, I was as ice. It was as cold as ice. I could barely move. My mom and husband heard the baby screaming and came into the room to see what was wrong. My husband said, "Why the hell is it so cold in here?" The door was open the whole time. My mom took the baby out of the room, and my husband helped me out into the hallway beyond the open door. And the hallway and the rest of the house were still very toasty. Thank God we ended up moving out the following summer. But before we did, my husband said he had talked to the neighbor about our experiences. And he said, "Oh, yeah, the two werewolf boys' father had killed them and then himself. And the boys' ghosts roam those two properties." Damage, how are you? Aw, show Tigger some love. Aw, thank you, Sonia. It's a band called Three Teeth, 59th. It's a really good band, but it's pretty cool shirt. The lead singer actually sent me a test printing vinyl of their latest album. Pretty cool guy. Pretty freaking awesome guy. Janie, have a good night, dear. Thank you for coming in. The channel's godmother is leaving for the night. It's time to party. You'll like them. They do a version of the Pumped Up Kids. It's pretty fucking awesome. I don't want to play any of their stuff again, but because last time I played music on the live stream, I got hit with a fucking copyright claim. So otherwise I would. Huh? The fuck was that? Jay Cortez, what's up? How are you, my friend? How about, is Norman Comics still in here? Biohazard is an amazing band. Amazing! Well, tell us, George. Tell us what that amazing quote is. Aw, on his birthday, he got dumped. What a mean girl, dude. What kind of girlfriend dumps? Like, wait until the next day. You know, give him a little birthday lay and then bounce. Right? Shit. Do you damage? That's awesome, buddy. Disbelief is another form of belief wearing a different uniform. That's pretty good, buddy. That is damn good. I like that. DYI Nancy, how are you? He says no. Oh my God, Aramik, you monster. What's up, Boondock? How are you, buddy? Dude, that is just mean, though. Like, just mean. Fucking happy birthday, baby. I'm leaving. What a bitch, dude. Shit. I couldn't imagine that. These people are mean. Mean, mean, mean. I would pee in her gas can on her car. There you go. Fucking hopefully Norman does that. Norman doesn't seem like the guy that would pee in someone's car's gas, though. Right? Maybe, you know what Norman should do? If they ever get back together, Norman should fart in his hand, cup that shit, and put it on her eyes and give her pink eye. Fucking Norman giving her pink eye, baby. Maybe a little sharp. That'd be fantastic. What's up, Heather Princess? How are you? Cake. Oh, man. Let me think of a good song. Hang on, I'm coming up with one. God damn it, I can't think of one. Oh, it hurts. $20 is $20. Ugh. DB Mac, you popped in right at the right time, you dirty dog, you. I tried. That was like my version of the man down under. You're welcome, DB Mac. Stacy Lockett, how are you, dear? Ah. So I do that every weekend, Krista. Um, so government at its best this week. I ordered the new Gorillaz album that just dropped yesterday, The Mountain. I ordered the box set back in September when they said we're coming out with a new album, right? So I've been waiting for this album to drop so I could have it. And in the package, on the custom sheet, because I ordered it from England, from their from because the English version is got more stuff with it than the American version. On the custom sheet that comes with the paper or comes with the package, it says 3 things are included in this package. First one, The Mountain, the name of the album is The Mountain. And it says, from Gorillaz with a Z store, Warner Brothers Music is who it came from. Line 1, the mirror or the Mountain mirror patch badge Merc. Line 2, 2 LP vinyl box set. Line 3, the Mountain poster. FedEx has this. FedEx brings it to customs in Memphis, Tennessee. It gets on hold. It's on hold like it's a criminal. They put it on hold like it's a criminal. And instead of getting a hold of Warner Brothers like they're supposed to, they contact me and say, you're not getting your package. FedEx, this is FedEx now. You're not getting your package because we don't know what's in this box. And they sent me the sheet of the government paperwork. And I'm like, so I fucking called the guy, and his name is John Wright from Indonesia. And I swear to God. And I'm like, tell me why this is happening, because I've ordered stuff from out of country before and have no problems. I'm like, what's the issue? Is there metal in here? I go, no. Line 1 says a patch. A patch. I go, kind of like a patch that would go on a jacket. I go, line 2, 2 vinyl LPs. I go, you listen to them. Number 3 is a poster. A poster. So what that's made out of paper. And then they like hold it. So I call customs. And this lady answers, super nice woman. And she tells me that it's not customs that has it, it's FedEx. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Dude, it was crazy. They're like, what is it made out of? I'm like, it says poster. It's made out of fucking paper. That's what I'd make it out of. But and then I have to send them an email and show them in picture form what's in the package. And by accident, as I'm texting, I said is, right? And I must have been talking fast because everything looks pretty decent as I'm reading over it. But then the third sentence down, I said, is a, and it literally spelled out ISIS in capital letters. And I'm like, great. Now I'm never going to get my package. No, they're on their way now, Krista Lloyd. No, you can't, Emma. It's ridiculous. Like, what the fuck else is a poster made out of? Or a vinyl record, vinyl LP. I don't know, moron. It says vinyl. It's made out of metal, you dipshit. It's fucking vinyl. Retard. I wanted to share my experience. I'm not 100% sure it was a crawler because it was not tall, but everything else matches up. I would also like to apologize for the bad writing. This all happened in Lithuania, 2016. I was 14, lying in the same bed as my younger brother and mom in her room because it was cold. Both of them had went to sleep while I stayed up reading. The only light source were the bedside lamp and a crystal rock lamp in an empty brother's room across from us for ambiance. Having read enough, I closed my book and turned the light off, lying down on my side facing the other room. And there I saw it, a pale, hairless, humanoid, bony creature, kind of looking like one goblin from The Lord of the Rings or that creepypasta Rake, except it was medium dog sized. It was hunched over and had sharp claws and toes, as well as sharp teeth. Its eyes were a bright orange/red. Creature was moving inside the room across the doorway on two legs illuminated by the lamp. I got very scared and got up on my elbows, turned to look at my sleeping mom, and whispered, calling her. Yet she did not react. Suddenly, from my moves, the bed loudly creaked, and I snapped my head back at the creature, locking eyes with it. Oh, Jesus, that's creepy. Ugh, both of us, unmoving. I blinked and looked at my mom again, calling for her. And when I faced the room again, the creature was gone. Yet the image of his sharp, bright eyes stayed burnt into my mind. Moving forward a year later, I was watching a movie with my brother in my mom's room, and we heard a crash in his room walk-in closet. I decided to investigate what could have fallen. As I was walking in the closet, I saw a flash of white move quickly across it. The last thing being a bony white leg disappearing into the dark corner. When I moved closer, I didn't find anything and nothing was out of place. Years later, I'm still wondering what it was and have had a few nightmares about this. Oh, I got to read Aramic's joke. Aramic told a good one because Andy Davis was like, keep it clean. Oh, I missed it. Where is it? No joke? I told a bad joke he didn't like. I'm sorry he didn't like that, but humor is difficult territory. The end. There is no such thing as a bad joke. There is no such thing as a bad joke at all. It's comedy. It's comedy. No such thing. Do you need a wingman? I don't think so. I missed the joke too. Aramic's jokes are funny as hell. Aramic's jokes are beautiful. Comedy is meant to just be funny. Listen, we're not like a lefty fucking chat thing, Truth Quest. If you don't like what I'm saying, you can bounce and I won't miss you. To be honest with you, it's all right. Bye. Here, I'll help you. Jesus Christ. Purple hair and a septum ring. Ermic, tell us a joke, please. Retell the joke, Ermic. I want to know what the joke is. Dude, if you can't have like laughter in life, life is fucking hard enough. Like, if your butthole is that puckered, then take a shit. Fuck. Oh, Ermic. Oh my God. Dude, what did you say that for? Oh my God, I can't believe that's such a bad joke. Oh, jeez, I'm crow. My butt is puckered tighter than tight. Jesus Christ. Come the on. All right, let's go. I was born in Ecuador, and oh Lord, I don't know. I don't know. You know, I love everybody. I love everybody. No, I don't. Yes, I do. I do. I was born in Ecuador and lived there until I was. I can't stop fucking laughing now, Aramic. Oh God, I love you, Aramic. I fucking love you. Thank you. Thank you, Aramic. You just you made my night. You monster of a man. Jesus. I gotta say it. Thank you, Aramic, because I really like I couldn't stand them anyway. So thank you. Thank you. Let's try this again. No, fuck that. We're doing a Lizzo story. Thank you, Aramic. This Lizzo story is for you. Thank you, Aramic, for making me smile and everybody else, except the purple haired, septum wearing. Well, thank you, Aramic. The neon open 24/7 sign at Mickey's roadside diner flickered in a rhythm that could have been a heartbeat, but a warning. In the pine clad swamps of West Virginia, the Greasy Spoon was more than a place to slurp coffee. It was a kingdom, and its queen was a woman who turned a rust-streaked lot into a glitter-clapped empire of chrome leather and whispered dreams. She called herself Lizzo the Lot Lizard, and the world outside the diner's cracked windows barely knew what was missing. Lizzo didn't wear a crown. She wore a stud-encrusted leather corset that rattled like a siren's call when she walked. Her hair was dyed in electric teal, lacking a septum ring, the color of a cheap highlighter on a night shift clerk's ledger, And she ruled not with an iron fist, but with a pair of high heeled boots that could crush a semi tire with a single stomp. The kingdom stretched from the cracked porcelain of a woman's bathroom, adored with graffiti and that read, Love in the Time of Diesel, to the back room where a battered jukebox sputtered out old country ballads and the occasional line from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Earl, a brawny truck stop handyman who could fix a busted radiator with a single glance and a wrench, had been Lizzo's reluctant confidant for 3 years. He was a man of few words, most of which were punctuated by the clang of the wrench on a pipe. But he was a loyal steward of Lizzo's chaos. He built a makeshift altar in the diner's cold storage room, draped it in a tattered tablecloth of red checkered vinyl, and hung strings of cheap paper lanterns that swayed like fire powered fans kicking on. The night of the wedding, the whole lot shivered in anticipation. The parking lot, usually a graveyard of rusted hoods and broken windshields, was transformed into an outdoor ballroom. A busted gasoline can was inverted and filled with cheap champagne, spitting bubbles onto the concrete with a fizz that sounded like fireworks. The smell of fried chicken, mingled with the sweet metallic tang of gasoline, created an intoxicating perfume that made the night air feel both festive and vaguely ominous. Lizzo stood at the altar, a vision of rebellious royalty. Her corset glinted under a low watt bulb. Earl, in his grease stained denim jacket and a tie made of an old seatbelt, waited with a nervous grin plastered over his stubble covered jaw. Their guests, a motley crew of truckers, late night diners, a few road dogs in denim, and a couple of regulars who preferred the back of the restroom for privacy, chattered, clinking bottles and tossing cheap cigarettes into the ashtray that doubled as a fire pit. Just as Lizzo lifted her hand to signal the start of I'm Gonna Love You Forever, a misfit love ballad that combined a country twang with a bass drop that made the old jukebox sputter, the lights dimmed. A cold wind whooshed through the open doors, extinguishing the paper lanterns and sending the cheap champagne into a frothy panic. A ripple of murmurs rolled through the crowd. Then the parking lot shadows into a figure that could only be described as a nightmare in leather. He stood tall, his skin an ashen gray that seemed to drink the dim light. The crown on his head was a jagged set of horns, each one polished in a sickly shimmer. He wore a full bodied leather bondage suit, tight black and adorned with rivets that clinked with every step. A set of leather chaps thumped against his thighs, and a massive ball gag dangled from a chain around his neck, clicking around his teeth like a macabre metronome. Behind him, a second figure shuffled into the light, his gait uneven, eyes flickering with a mixture of fury and desperation. He was a man whose name was etched into history's darkest pages, now reduced to a grotesque parody. Saddam Hussein, reimagined as Satan's boy toy. He wore a gimp suit of deep crimson, the latex so glossy it reflected the faint glow of the remaining lanterns. A pair of silver cuffs clamped on his wrist, and a metallic necklace, and an iron chain with a tiny rusty key hung around his neck. His beard, once meticulously trimmed, now dangled in an uneven strands that tangled with the leather beneath them. In his hands, he thrust a battered copy of Art of War, the cover scuffed, the pages yellow, like a twisted token of its former power. The two figures approached the altar, their steps echoing like a funeral march across the concrete. Lizzo, Satan's voice rasped, the sound that seemed to come from the cracks of a broken pipe. You dare celebrate love in my kingdom? He was cut off by a guttural laugh that came from the depths of the night. You think you can pull my reins of this lot from under my hooves? Satan snarled, his eyes flashing a crimson that matched his inner fire. Lizzo turned, her eyes narrowed under the glow of a single hanging bulb. She was the queen, but she also knew the rules of the road. Never start a fight when you can keep the truck rolling. She took a step forward. The heel of her boot clacked against the concrete. Listen, big guy, she said, her tone equal parts of sass and steel. This is a celebration, not a war. You got a lot of interesting accessories, but you look sad, almost like you've never had a proper ceremony yourself. Satan's horns trembled. The fire in his eyes flickered, not with rage, but with something else, an ember of longing. He glanced down at Saddam, who shifted uncomfortably in his gimp suit. The metal ball gag on Satan's own neck clinked twice, as if punctuating a thought. Very well, Satan hissed, his voice softened. I am unaccustomed to the feeling of being invited. He looked down at Saddam again, eyes darkening. You, he said, have been by my side for longer than any mortal would dare to remember. Do you crave a night of normalcy, of perhaps partnership? Saddam's, Saddam's jaw clenched. The leather in his suit creaked as he straightened. The chain around his neck rattled with an almost musical tone. He glared at Satan for a heartbeat, then nodded. Enough, he muttered, his voice a low growl. Even a demon like you can be lonely. A murmur rippled through the diners, half of them holding their breath, the other half nudging each other with nervous chuckles. The diesel hum of the passing rig filled the silence like a distant drum roll. And then Lizzo smiled, the kind of grin that made her teeth glint like polished studs. If you want a wedding, you've got one, she declared, her voice booming over the din of rattling chains. But you have to play along. No hellfire, no soul stealing, just a celebration of whatever we are. The devilish duo glanced at each other, then at the altar, their expressions shifting from menacing to bewildered. Satan lifted his hand, his horns catching the feeble light, and the crowd inhaled a scent of gasoline and incense in equal parts. Fine, Satan agreed, his voice a smooth baritone now. We will marry, but you have to let us bring our own flair. Lizzo raised an eyebrow, then shrugged. Bring your flair, just don't burn down the kitchen. The night blossomed into a carnival of bizarre. The wedding officiant, an old truck driver named Bessie, who claimed she had once driven a convoy for the president, stepped up to the altar with a battered microphone and declared in a voice that cracked like an old CB radio that the ceremony was duly noted. Earl took Lizzo's hand, and she slipped her other hand into Satan's, the horns brushing against his leather suit. Saddam, despite his gimp attire, stood proudly beside his masculine man, his crimson latex gleaming under the sudden flare of a busted fluorescent tube that flickered back to life. Satan's ball gag was gently lifted, revealing a grin that could have sent shivers down the spine of any mortal. The vows were a mashup of love and absurdity. I, Earl, promise to keep your radiator never running low, he declared, winking at Lizzo. I, Lizzo, vow to never let anyone call me lizard without a crown, to keep the lot lit, the beer cold, and the jukebox playing whatever the night demands, she replied, her voice reverberating against the concrete walls. Satan's eyes glowed faintly, spoke in a tone that sounded like a distant thunderstorm. And I, Satan, pledge to keep my infernal realm tidy, not to burn down any more diners, and to assure my ball gag remains only a decorative accessory. Saddam, adjusting his leather cuffs, added in a guttural whisper, I, Saddam, promise to keep my bondage suit polished.
the chain rust free and to never again attempt world domination, at least not before breakfast. The crowd erupted into cheers, clinking plastic cups and rusted mugs. The jukebox, stirred by the sudden surge of supernatural energy, burst into a full throttle version of Ring of Fire, the kind that made the air tremble and the shadows dance. The reception was a kaleidoscope of chaos and charm. A line of greasy fries was handed out by a trucker who claimed his name was Big Al, and whose tattoos depicted a map of every highway he had ever traveled. Battered guitar was strummed by a woman who claimed she could summon spirits with a single chord, and a melody seemed to make the chandeliers sway like pendulums. Satan, ever the showman, slipped off his leather suit for a moment and, with a mischievous grin, took the mic. He recited a short, heartfelt poem that rhymed. To hell with this hill, I've traveled the road with love in my chest, the heavy load. May the fire within keep our hearts alight, and may the trucks roll on through the night. The crowd howled, some laughed, some shivered, but everyone agreed that the poem was oddly beautiful. Meanwhile, Saddam, still in his own spit shined gimp suit, stood nearby in the back, his eyes scanning the horizon. He seemed content, at least for the moment, to watch the neon lights reflect off his latex like 1,000 tiny little suns. As the night stretched on, the diesel roar of the passing convoy gave way to a soft, almost reverent silence. The last song, a slow, mournful ballad about a trucker's lost love, drifted through the diner, echoing off the cracked tiles. The candles and the remaining paper lanterns flickered out one by one, leaving the whole lot bathed in a faint phosphorus glow of moon sweeping through the pine canopy. Lizzo leaned into Earl, their shoulders touching, and whispered, You know, I always thought my kingdom would be a lonely road. Turns out even devils need a wedding cake. Earl chuckled, slapping his knee. And even hellfire can be tamed with a good bourbon and a decent DJ. Satan leaned against the rusted back wall, glancing at the sky. He raised his hands, his horns catching a stray moonbeam, and he let out a low, content sigh that sounded suspiciously like a sigh of relief. The double wedding, a strange amalgam of love, leather, and the occasional infernal whisper, had not only avoided a battle, it had turned a potential apocalypse into a celebration the backwoods would never forget. And as the first light of dawn seeped through the pines, painting the lot with shades of rose and gold, the neon sign flickered back to life, humming its familiar open 24/7 mantra. In that moment, the truck stop diner of West Virginia stood not just as a kingdom of grease stained chairs and broken dreams, but as a sanctuary where even demons could find a seat at the table, a partner for the night, and a chance to hear a low rumble of a diesel engine and think, perhaps for the first time, that the world wasn't that bad after all. And somewhere in the shadows, the jukebox was still playing the warped version of Ring of Fire, gave a tiny mischievous wink as if to say, Welcome to the weirdest wedding in the world. See you next Saturday at the Welcome to the weirdest wedding in the world. See you next Saturday at happy hour. Yeah, New York got hit hard. Thank you, Aramek. Apparently, Andy Davis didn't like it, but I can fix Andy Davis. Let me give you a little hug, Andy. There you go, Andy Davis.
Nightmare, how are you? I figured, brother. I figured. I figured. I figured it was the second. Oh, come on. You know you got one, MJ. There you go, MJ. I figured it was the second they said what they say. Dude, it wasn't even like a really like bad joke about women. It was a funny joke. Like if Aramik said something like totally off the hook, I would have been like, dude, come on. Like I have two daughters. I love my mom. I call my mom every day. Like geez, I'm crow. Hugs all the way around. Oh God. Dude, speaking of pee in the snow, so check this out. We had the snowstorm that New York City got. We got like half of what they got up here. But still, the snowbank outside of my house on the other side is like 7 foot tall because my house is on a corner. So the plows push all the snow like boom right into my driveway. So when I snow blow, I just blow it up into the side. And someone must have been walking down the road and had to whiz really bad and use the snowbank as a barrier and a urinal because I looked out the fucking studio window downstairs and there's a freaking pee hole dick height in my snowbank. And I'm like, what the hell is that about? Yeah, 7 foot, buddy. I swear to God, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Who? It must have been like a drunk dude walking down. He's like, I gotta pee real bad. This snowbank will hide me. Like, that's literally what I'm thinking. It is like right dick height, too. He's like, psst. What a douche. Dude, Andy Davis, you know you're jumping on those websites, brother. Good night from Nancy. Have a good night. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Oh, Andy Davis. How dare you make that statement, Andy Davis? I am so grossed out by you. Ah. Ugh. Andy Davis. Oh, Wiley. Wiley. That's naughty. Jeez, I'm crow. All right. I had to take a break for a minute. Oh. I had to say a little prayer really quick. Holy cow. Please just watch over me, Lord. Oh. What's up, Papa? How are you, buddy? Until right now, I have shared this with maybe 4 people because, well, it sounds crazy. It happened back in 2001, so the internet wasn't very helpful back then. I lived in Roanoke, Virginia, in a wooded area with my family.
We lived on a big hill surrounded by only woods. I returned home at around 2 a.m. and was a young teen at the time. I parked my car and turned on the overhead lamp to roll up a joint. It was a nice night, so I had the windows down and would always hear noises, but never thought nothing because there are tons of animals around. Anyway, I roll up and smoke and also pull out my art pad and start to draw. So the overhead lamp is still on, and I had music softly playing for maybe an hour as I did this. Finally, I was tired and ready to go inside, so I reached up and turned off the overhead lamp in the car. And when I did, I could now obviously see outside the car. Now, indirectly in front of me, maybe 12 feet slumped down in front of my brother's Jeep, is this pale, skinny, long armed, long legged creature. It was looking right at me, like it had been there for a while. It was also intelligent enough to know that once I cut off the inside lamp, I could now see outside and knew I could see it. I only saw it for maybe 3 seconds until it realized it, and it bolted to the back of the house like a cheetah. I was scared and stuck in place at what I had seen. I was too scared to get out and ended up driving around for hours until the sun came up. I returned home and finally went inside. I immediately that day tried to rationalize and ask my dad and brother, were they outside at 3 a.m. last night? To which they laughed and said, heck no. The house always scared myself and my brothers. We actually called the cops another time because we thought someone was trying to rob the place because we kept hearing noises on the back deck. This sighting I had of the creature was burned into my brain now 2025. So 25 years later, I'm curious at what I seen. Even more crazy as years went by and the internet became what it is. I remember the first time I came across a picture of what some call the crawler or rake or whatever, and my heart stopped. It's that famous picture where it slumped down on all fours in the exact same position I saw it. Moves the same way they say the limbs were long, just like in those other stories. It felt good to know that I wasn't alone or crazy, but still, so many questions. I felt I would share in hopes maybe others had seen this thing. We are not alone on this planet. Are they aliens? Whatever it is, it didn't harm me. My windows were down the entire time. Hell, it could have snuck up on me and easily harmed me. It seemed to only watch me. Also, it happened so fast to me. The face had a small mouth, large eyes, and I didn't see a nose. Very, very pale, though. Thank you for reading. Dude, there's no clock anymore. It doesn't say how long we've been doing our live stream for anymore over here. That's weird. Right, Andy Davis? Definitely a crawler. Definitely a crawler. Danny, how are you? You're never late. You're always here. You're on time. If people are here, they're on time. Yeah, it's been I started like 5 minutes early. Party all night. I think I have a black-eyed kid story in here somewhere. I got a sleep paralysis one. We'll save that one. Creature I saw in the woods. Creature I saw. Oh, this one's good. We'll put this aside for a second here. That one's good.
That one's good. And there we go. This is a weird noise. All right. So many have claimed to see black-eyed children, have talked to them, or have disappeared because of them. I can tell you for a fact that they are real. This happened when COVID-19 was at its deadliest, when I was home alone with my grandfather, and my grandfather was having heart surgery. It was around 10 p.m. I was home from my step-grandmother's. I had started to make some tea to drink and watch Toonami. I was halfway through Dragon Ball Z episode when I heard a knock on my door. My dog froze, started to growl at the front door. My first thought was to put them in the bedroom and open the door. But I felt my dog at the time bite my hand, pulling me away from the door. The knocking continued, and a kid's head peeked through my front window. I could tell that it was a little boy, brown-haired, freckled skin, and black eyes. "Ma'am, can you open the door? We came to play with a..." I knew for a fact that my little sister didn't live with me or my grandparents. I felt compelled to open the door, though, only to feel my dog pull me back again. I left the room and went into the kitchen. I could hear them still knocking, now also at my side door. My dogs were growling in both directions, backing me into a safe corner of the house. I remember waking up the next day on the kitchen floor, my dogs around me. I still fear that they may knock on that door again, and this time I won't be there. Christy Strom, how are you? I'm looking for what you said, Andy Davis. Thank you, Jeff, for all the hard work. Oh, thank you, Maureen. I appreciate you. That's very, very nice. Thank you. Hang on, I got to do the upstate shake. Ugh. There we go. Wait. There we go. All better. I'm doing good. I am doing good. Thank you. Okay. This happened when I was 7. My house has 2 floors. My grandparents lived on the first, and my mom, my dad, and I lived on the second. And one night, my parents decided to sleep downstairs in the guest room. My mom put me to bed and read me a story. She left the nightstand light on. I could hear my parents talking with my grandparents in the living room. After about 10 minutes, the light turned off. I thought my mom had turned it off, so I called her and no one answered. I couldn't hear them anymore. I got scared. I got up, slowly walked toward the door. I was touching everything around me to find my way to the door. I found the light switch, but the lights did not work. I felt a phone on the table and turned it on for some light. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. I went to the living room and no one was there. I checked the bathrooms, the bedrooms, and even went outside. I called out for my family, but no one answered. I was scared. I was crying and yelling their names. Suddenly, I saw a flash of light in the living room.
I ran to the bathroom and shut the door. I heard footsteps, but they did not sound like footsteps from any of my family members or a human. The footsteps were very slow and heavy. The door suddenly opened, and I was blinded by a flash of light. I looked up and I saw a black figure with eyes so bright that it looked like flashlights were stuffed inside of its head. I screamed and shut the door in its face. I was crying so hard I couldn't breathe. Suddenly, the door opened again. I looked up and saw my mom standing there. I ran to her. She turned the lights on in the bathroom and asked me what happened. I told her everything, and she only told me that I was dreaming, but I don't know how I got to the bathroom. And even if I was dreaming, it looked so real. Maybe I was sleepwalking. I don't know for sure. But if I was sleepwalking, how would I remember walking into the bathroom in a dream and then wake up in the bathroom? Pancho, welcome. One of my old neighbors had a huge Dobie. Jane had two beautiful Dobies. Don't forget. Oh, thank you, Edith. That's what she said, Ricardo. I have a Rotsky. Rottweiler. Rotsky. What's a Rotsky? Rottweiler. Smitty! Thank you, buddy. Thanks, buddy. Oh, a husky. Oh, that must be your dog must be interesting looking. Beautiful, I bet you. Beautiful, I bet. Smitty, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I really do. I cannot express the gratitude that I have for all of you. Like you guys are what makes this channel special. I don't know if you guys heard when I said like I try to get people to come into the live. So I'm like, we have fun sharing experiences and theories, and then I mentioned like the comment section of it, and like I was like, what did I say? The jokes that are told, friendships that are formed, laughs that are had, friendships that are formed, something. And like, so when I say you guys make the live stream pretty much what it is, it is. It's like I'm sharing experiences and you guys are freaking communicating with each other and me. And it's freaking awesome. I can't see the picture very good, Christy Strom. It doesn't show up very well on my computer. It's small. Hang on a second. My daughter's doing a live stream on TikTok and she's yelling at people. Jeez, some crow. Amberly, when did you email me? Because I would have responded if I had gotten it. I try to respond like, hey, even if I don't have time, I'll be like, hey, I got your email, get right back to you or whatever. But I didn't get it, to be honest with you. Can you try to email me again? Because it's like honestly, for some reason my emails don't always go through. I definitely didn't get it because I would have responded. You would have heard from me.
What's the difference between a genealogist and a, oh God, one looks up the family tree, the other one. Aramec. Come on now. Come on now. Are you kidding me? You male misogynist. Jesus. Oh, Lord. Remember Right Said Fred? That not Right Said Fred. Was it Right Said Fred? Dead Fred? Dead Fred? Right Said Fred? Where he's the ghost and his name's Fred. And he like looks under the grandma's skirt and he goes, cobwebs. No, nothing on the you are literally the fifth person to ask that tonight. And no, anything on the screams. Andy, I really doubt that one. I really do doubt that one. There's no way that George Bush is Crawley's son. The dates don't work. And they look nothing alike. Aleister Crowley was a fat, stubby little man, and George Bush is a tall, scrawny man. But I heard that, and I did an upload about it, that L. Ron Hubbard and fucking Jack Parsons, along with Crawley, tried to summon some sort of demonic creature. Supposedly, the hellspawn was Hillary Clinton. Supposedly. Yeah, I don't think the dates work though, guys. The dates don't work. If people like, if you like, it sounds good, but if you looked at the dates wouldn't work. Life of Times, how are you, my friend? Oh, really? Good. I'm glad. Thank you, Life and Times, for letting me know that. I'm finally, the algorithm is hitting my channel finally. It's giving it a little push. Dude, what about the Jim Carrey video, huh? That's not fucking Jim Carrey. Who is that guy? That's not Jim Carrey. His eyes don't look right. Jim Carrey does not look like that. Also, Jim Carrey does not talk that way. I'm imagining what I did imagine what the dog would look like. Yes. There's a weird video of Jim Carrey, Hercules, that says it's Jim Carrey. Dude, has anybody ever seen True Detective season 2 with Colin Farrell? You know, like that weird, like androgynous looking guy that does the surgeries. Like it looks like Wiley just said, Jim Carrey. Like he looks weird. He's just fucking weird looking. It's definitely not him. If it's a clone, it's a terrible clone. Because everybody's caught it. Yeah, he's against plastic. He's against a lot. Like it's freaking weird. Like the way he talks, because Jim Carrey spoke out. There's like a clip that I put up in a video before, and he spoke out against the Illuminati. And also like the people who control Hollywood and the media and this and that. And they may have punished him. They may have taken him and punished him. They're probably doing bad stuff to his booter hole right now. Yeah, Chappelle still looks the same. They just brainwashed him. They literally brainwashed Chappelle. But the Jim Carrey thing is exactly, Jarrett. No Diddy. No Diddy. They are freaking ball elbow deep in Jim Carrey right now. No, I don't think Jim Carrey was a warlock in Hollywood. He spoke out about that stuff. He was against all of the Hollywood bullshit. That's probably like CIA clandestine stuff because they created the narrative. So it's weird that the CIA would create the narrative of conspiracy theorists, yet they're the most active clandestine agency doing some of the worst stuff. I don't know about Mel Gibson. I don't know about Mel Gibson. I'm not going to talk about that. All I know is Jim Carrey. Send me that information, Sonia, so I can see it. Because I've never seen that. I'd like to see where it came from. If you could, please. I gotta get a drink. Hang on. Ugh. I'm not doubting you, Sonia. I would like to see it myself. You know what I mean? I'll look into it too. I think what happened earlier today, was another kind of distraction. Look over here. Look over here. What's going on over here in this country? What are we doing here? For really, what's going on elsewhere? They're like, holy shit, the public's catching on to these Epstein files, guys. They're fucking getting wise to the game. Let's bomb somebody. Craigers! Thank you so much. Most definitely is. I I guarantee no one's going to jail. No one's going to jail on the Epstein files. Amberly, thank you. No one is going. And the fact that if nobody goes, if nobody goes to jail, then we know everyone is a fucking reptilian. We know everyone that fucking runs the country and runs every other country is a tool for the one world government. Because if I did what Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton did, I would be in jail for the rest of my life. Flat. I mean, the lady was an attorney and represented two adult males who did horrendous, gross stuff to a little girl and made that little girl a victim again on fucking in court. Yet she's the president's wife. She's a mom. She's a person. Oh, yeah, definitely. No one's going to jail. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen Cabin in the Woods, SDL. I'd have to put money on that one, buddy. Ugh. You know what's crazy, Ricardo, is Ricardo, I actually fell for it. I fell for the song and dance. My mom was an addict. I fell for it. And I was like, we may have somebody fucking good here. And that dick munch is worse than the majority of them, too. Like the second he was like, my mom's an addict, this and that, I was like, oh, wait, whoa, I'm an addict. Wait, your mom's in recovery? I'm in recovery. Oh, wait, what did you just say? Oh, you're a bad person. Like, fuck you, buddy. Fuck you and your fucking movie. And stick your book right up your ass, JD Vance. JD Vance, Andy Davis. Like, I literally thought I was like, wow, we have somebody that knows what America is like. You grew up poor. I grew up poor. You fucking wow, dude. Like, nope. Who put him on into politics? Find out who put him into politics and you'll know exactly what I'm saying, because I'm not saying that name on my live stream because I want my life to survive. But you look into him and you find out who put him in, who paid for him, who fucking probably did bad things to him in a closet somewhere. You'll know. You'll know. Hey, buddy, Andy Davis, tell the little boys I said hi tonight, will you? Very true, George. Very true. Okay. This is actually pretty interesting. Probably lots of grammar and spelling errors. Sorry, Jeff. Please be nice. I typed this on my phone, and my fingers have arthritis. One weekend night I can't even talk. In Idaho, my boyfriend at the time and I went to a show in Boise. It was one of my first times driving to Boise. So on our way home late at night, we got lost. We had no idea where we were, so I decided to try and turn around and backtrack. We were at a four-way stoplight and turned left into this area that looked like a good spot, but it brought us into this weird gated community with nowhere to turn around, so I kept driving, thinking I'll just come out right at the other side of the community. The whole thing was real strange and just got stranger and stranger as we drove straight through. The first thing we noticed right away, there was literally no lights on anywhere. Not one house light or street light. It was pitch dark aside from my headlights. The trees kept getting thicker until we couldn't even see the sky. It was dead silent and still. It wasn't even that late. It was maybe midnight. As we keep going, I noticed something up ahead. It was a large body on the left side, almost in the middle of this small road. As we got closer and closer to this body, I realized what it was. It was some type of animal standing over another body on the ground. We started kind of freaking out because we have to drive right by this scene to get through. Couldn't turn around because the road was too small. So, knowing that's my only option, I continue, even slower this time. We told ourselves, oh, it's just Mother Nature, circle of life. We're okay. I continue to drive toward it, and I start shaking because as we get near it, you could see that it was actually huge, very tall legs. We are freaking out, and I am trying to be brave as the driver. I have our lives in our hands, I think to myself. So I still continue forwards towards this very, very large animal. As we are getting closer, I roll my window up. That's how close to this creature we were. I could have almost reached out and pet it. I can still picture what happened next. That image will never leave my mind. This creature was even bigger than what we thought, way bigger than a man and taller than my car. And I was staring. I couldn't look away. My eyes were wide as hell because they can't believe what they are seeing. Right as I am next to this thing, it lifts its head from the body, and I swear to you, with so much thick liquid, pretty sure it was blood, but it was so dark it could have been something else dripping off its face and mouth. It smiles at me with all of this bloody sharp teeth grinning, and its eyes were glowing bright white. And like I said, there are no lights anywhere. My headlights were not even the reason for its eyes to be glowing. I don't even remember how we got home. I don't remember much after that. But I know it was one of the weirdest things I have ever had happen. And we got home safely, but I still do have nightmares to this day of that thing. Stop breathing in the middle of the night. It's not sleeping apnea. It's another where your wife is holding the pillow over your face. Oh my God, Arabic. I got to tell my dad the first joke that you said, Arabic, earlier. How dare you? That was Aramic's best joke yet. No, it's my heat kicking on. Fucking Aramic. Oh God. Fuck, my jewel died. Definitely a dog man. Definitely a dog man. Hi Fonda, how are you? Definitely a dog man. Oh, hang on, I gotta check something. Haha, beautiful. Oh my God. Okay. Predict Bezos on Lizzo. Oh, that sounds good. What's up, Tay? All right. I did two already. We've got one left, Fonda. I heard a joke earlier. All right. Oh, George. That was good. My neighbor, you don't know. Oh my God. Oh my God. Fucking George in Arabic tonight. I gotta check something really quick. I gotta see this. Hang on. Let me hit mute so I don't get hit with a do. Let's see. Okay. Let me see. Okay. That's interesting. My friend of mine worked at DMV. Oh, it was funny, Krista. Don't be mean. Don't be mean. That's mean. That's mean. 2.0. I gotta see this whole. That's so not real. Oh, all right. No, I know what she meant, SDL. That's why I was joking about that. Uh, when I was growing up, my dad lived in a house that was built in the early 1900s. I had tons of paranormal experiences in this house, but this one freaked me out the most because it was the only time I had physically seen something in our house. I was about 14 years old at the time. My dad and his girlfriend had just switched the house from cable TV to Fire Sticks, and I didn't have one in my room yet. So I would have watched TV in my little brother's room when he was not there. This night, he was sleeping downstairs in my grandma's room. He was 4. So I was in his room watching TV when suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I see a black figure about the height of my brother standing in the doorway. Thinking it's him, I say his name. Why are you awake right now? And as I go to look towards the door, the figure quickly turns and runs down the stairs. I hear the sound of running. Thinking that he was playing around, I look at my phone and see it's 1 a.m., so I decide to go back to bed. I shut off his TV and lights and head to my room. As I'm walking into my room, I hear soft footsteps creeping back up the stairs, so I turn toward the stairs. Still, I am in my room and watch as the figure peers around the wall towards me. As I see it, it quickly jumps back and goes running back down the stairs. This time, I hear a faint child laugh. Still thinking it's my brother, I go downstairs to get him to bed. When I go downstairs and go to the room he's in, he's sound asleep in bed. It's at this point that I hear that faint laugh in the kitchen near the stairs to the basement. Deciding I wasn't going to check it out because at this point I'm scared, I go back to my room. I plugged in my phone, laid down on my bed, and then when I look up, I see the same black figure I had seen 2 other times peer into my room again. I quickly turned my bedside lamp on and I shut my door and slept with my lamp on that night. My dad no longer lives in that house, but to this day, my dad and stepmom do not believe me when I tell them the story. They push it off as my imagination, even though my stepmom and her mom both experienced things in that house as well. TikTok should have banned years ago. Dude, for the amount of fake shit that's on there, yes. Yes. K-Dog, let's hear it, buddy. No, Simone's not here, John. Andy Davis was supposed to send her a message. I think, no, SDL was, right? I don't know. One of them. The only thing I ever posted on TikTok, I have a TikTok, and the only thing I ever posted on it was my Conjuring video because the SDL cam like caught the stick figure. You can't fake that. The interview that James Caspel sent me, and a couple of other things from the Conjuring house. Other than that, like I won't. Oh, thank you, Catherine. I won't post anything on it because I don't want to like have, you know what I mean? Like I won't even put Kirk Stokes' video on that because I don't want people being like, that's fake. Because everything you see on TikTok is just trash, you know? Yes, I've been to the Conjuring house. Like I go out in real, like not my backyard or a trail by my house. I go to where people disappeared, like the place where Tom Mezek disappeared, and go there a lot. My daughter went with me to the Conjuring house. Um, she had a great time. We did the SD method there. That's another thing I should post on that. The Conjuring house was creepy. I'll tell you the creepiest thing that ever happened there was the things that we caught. Um, the only thing that freaked me out, Arambic! You've been a member for 27 months? Holy shit, brother. Adam Condon, you popping in right there. I'm sorry I didn't say hi to you, buddy. Um, the the SDL cam was the craziest thing because in the room with the crooked neck lady downstairs, me and Isabel are standing on the outside of this glass wall, and we're looking in with the SDL cam. And in one window pane, there is a stick figure that is perfectly straight. And in the other window pane is this like contorted stick figure that's all fucking crooked. And we heard scratching from the birthing room, which is upstairs above the kitchen, when my daughter was doing the SD method. And then when we were both doing the dowsing rod, the weirdest thing was, and I talked to Tyler about this, was it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and where this house sits was a major battle for the Prince Philip War. And a lot of people died in that area. At 1 in the morning, me and Isabel hear a single gunshot. It didn't sound like a pistol. It didn't sound like a rifle, but it was a gunshot. It almost sounded like a black powder rifle. And back then, they didn't have cartridges. They used black powder. So I wonder still if that was what it was, you know? It was very, very cool trip. Very interesting. Thank you, Amberly. It was very cool. It's still on the channel. If you type in um if you type in like my name in the YouTube search bar and then Conjuring House, it'll pull the video right up. The area is weird too. Like it's not what you'd expect. It's not like farmish. It's fucking woods. There's like you go through, I forget the town you go through, and it's a weird little town. It's like this, there's like this bar, restaurant, and then you kind of make this crooked, and then you're like in the woods. And the Conjuring House, you're going down the road towards it, and it was on my right side the way we came up. But then there's like this hill with all these houses on it and woods all around you. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. It's scary. It's fucking creepy, but it's beautiful in the same sense. You know what I mean? Like it's just I can't explain it. It's K Dog lives around that area, he said. And it's like I remember seeing like what looked like a pole line, but it looked like a fire road, maybe just a dirt road off of the main road. It was weird. It was cool. It was cool. I wouldn't mind going there again, but I really want to go to the Sally house. That's I guess a lot
more so haunted than. But if I were to go to the Sally house, I would want myself being blessed and Isabel, both of us, before we went. And she'll always go with me because she's my companion, you know. She's my little paranormal buddy. All right, this is a sleep paralysis creature. When I was about 10 or 11, I found myself waking up in the middle of the night, not being able to move. It genuinely frightened me because I have never heard of sleep paralysis and had no idea why I couldn't move. I kept looking around the room. It was dark, only lit up by the smallest bit of moonlight and the light on my computer's power button, which added a greenish light to the room. As I looked around, I had a feeling like I was being watched, but my heart sank when I noticed a hand slowly reaching up from the foot of my bed. The best way to describe this hand was that it was dark, skinny, and had fingers that were about a foot long each. Just to give you a better description, my bed was a loft, meaning it was basically a bunk bed that didn't have a bottom half. The only thing under my bed was my computer desk, so I would have to climb down to get in the actual bed. I noticed my bed start shaking as this creature with skinny long hands slowly ascended. I couldn't move or even scream for my dad, so the only thing I could do was close my eyes. When I opened them, the creature was gone. However, seconds later, I saw my bed start to shake, and once again, that hand slowly rose up from the foot of my bed. I did the same thing, closing my eyes, only to open them and see the figure was gone once again. A few seconds later, yeah, you guessed it, the same thing happened. At this point, I felt a little bit more in control, knowing that if the creature gets too close, I could simply close my eyes. With that in mind, I guess I felt like I wanted to see how far it would come. So I kept my eyes open a little bit longer. This time, the creature slowly makes its way onto my bed and finally gets far enough to reveal its face. Oh my fucking God, why? I just got cold chills. And its face was just disturbing. It was pale and cartoonish, but would move as if it were running at 20 foot-pounds per second. It was not a face I could describe or even comprehend. It did not match the dark, misty body it had. I was so terrified, and the fact that I couldn't move made it all the more traumatizing for me as a kid. I felt trapped. There was nothing I could do. Well, except for one thing. So once again, I closed my eyes and kept them shut for at least 15 seconds longer than usual. And at this point, I felt like the creature would be gone. So I felt safe enough to open them. But when I did, I felt like my world came to an end as my heart sank to the bottom of my stomach. The creature, oh, fuck me. The creature was 2 inches from my face. If I could have screamed, I would have. But I still couldn't move. I closed my eyes again, and when I opened it, it was gone, and I could move. I felt a bit relieved knowing that I could move, and I wanted to run to my parents' room across the hall, but I was paralyzed with fear this time. I lie in bed shaking, wondering what just happened. Oh my God. Holy shit. Oh, dude, Jesus. Dude, I do not like. Has anybody had sleep paralysis? Anyone? If you've had sleep paralysis, just say yes. My ex had it. I used to all the time. Yes. Sounds good, K-Dog. Sleep paralysis, for those of you that had it, just Nick Carroll, what's up, buddy? I don't know. Okay, so when
I had my sleep paralysis experience. I wanna say it was probably the most scariest thing I couldn't open my eyes. I literally couldn't open my eyes. I tried. I really tried to. I tried to even open my mouth, and I felt so trapped. Like, I remember lying on my couch, and I heard whatever came around the couch or whatever came around the coffee table. I'm at cold chills right now. Whatever came around that coffee table, it sounded like a dog. It sounded like a dog the way it was breathing, the way it was walking, and everything else, but it was just off. And I remember it felt like it was like this close from my face. And I'm lying like on my side. And I wanted to just yell. I wanted to yell for anyone in the house to just come out to the living room and turn the lights on, or paralyzed hell that I was in. It was, I think that was the scariest thing, was not being able to move. Like, hearing everything, but not being able to open my eyes, not being able to talk, and not being able to move. And then I remember it stayed in my face for like max 15 seconds, max. And then I heard it walking into our kitchen. And then when I came out of it, I stayed there for a second. I moved. I felt myself move, but I kept my eyes closed because I didn't want to open them yet. And then when I opened them, off the kitchen, from the living room to the kitchen, there was a downstairs door. And the downstairs was only a crawl space. You could barely, like, you had to like look like you were pretending you were a munchkin to walk to the furnace and the hot water heater. But that was always locked because our girls were young, and the door was open a crack. And I was like, did that just really happen? Like, I've always wondered, like, can sleep paralysis actually open doors? Or was that something else? Was it something else other than sleep paralysis? Huh. Yeah, it's sleep paralysis is just, it's so weird. And here's the thing. I was just reading the book I written by a PhD, and it's called, I just want to make sure I pronounce it, or not pronounce it, but say it right. Schizophrenia, the connection to the paranormal. And there's something in that book that reminded me of like how I felt in my sleep paralysis. Because like, no one would believe me if I told them what happened at that time. But that's how people that have schizophrenia are anyway. No one believes them. Yet, what if they're not schizophrenic and they can just see beyond the veil? Ugh, fuck. That is so creepy. So creepy, Tay. So creepy. Ugh, man. She changed the subject, Aramec. But I've always thought, like, imagine this. This is the most scariest thing, right? Imagine you're not crazy. Imagine you don't have schizophrenia, or imagine like whatever. And you fucking know that you are seeing demons and you are seeing beyond the veil, right? And like you've been able to hold it in and bottle it up for X amount of time, right? But then finally you crack because you're fucking just, they're all around you. And you get put into a hospital, like a clinic, a dual diagnosis clinic or whatever. And then they're there with you while you're trapped in that fucking place. You have no way of getting out. You have no one that believes you. You just have people there that are giving you fucking pills and fucking giving you this bullshit counseling and telling you that, you're sick, but you're actually really seeing this shit. That's the nightmare. How dare he? Aramec. Aramec's just fucking sneaking in those jokes throughout the thing. I gotta read this. My autistic daughter sees shadow people still in the one she calls fucking. Oh god. Mouth of Madness, yeah. Warren to the rescue. Jimmy, if Mr. Haunted was in here, he would laugh at that, Krista. Because Jimmy, Mr. Haunted, was the videographer for the Warrens. So in the movies, the Conjuring movies, the Chinese guy that's in them, that's Jimmy's real life character. That's Mr. Haunted was him in real life. He worked with the Warrens. And yeah, he'd be like, nope, not so much, because they're a little sketchy. They are a little sketchy. K Dog, send the story. I want to hear it, buddy. Dude, Jimmy's I have two of them, Jager. The second interview, way better. Yeah, definitely, Aramec. We do choose. Yep. Hypersomnia. What is hypersomnia? I'm sorry for you, Smitty. That does not sound good. I have no idea what it is, but it does not sound cool. Hypersomnia. A chronic sleep disorder characterized by excessive daytime sleepiness or prolonged nighttime sleep, causing an individual to feel unrefreshed despite long sleep. Lapses into sleep, sleep attacks, sleep apnea, necroplasy. Oh, fuck. Necroplasy is that thing that they think you're dead, but you're sleeping, right? No. I don't know, Nexus. I don't know. Dude, that is nuts. Holy smokes. No, thank you. Fuck that. I've heard people getting almost embalmed because of that.
Did that happen? Really, that happened in Long Island? No shit. K Dog, you gotta send me an email, buddy. What's up, Bob? Yeah, that's Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe was so afraid of being buried alive, he had a bell that he could ring from his casket or whatever. K Dog, you really don't need to have anybody vouch for you. I believe you, buddy. Tay, I'm glad that you're here with us. All right. I'm going to do this last Lizzo story and then I'm going to end the live stream because I'm getting tired and it's almost been 3 hours. Here we go. The neon open 24/7 sign over the rust crowned diner flickered like a dying eyelid, but that didn't stop the trucks from spilling in day after day like cattle at a country fair. The lot, a cracked as cheesecloth spread over asphalt, was a kingdom of its own. At its throne, an overflated vinyl recliner upholstered with a faded image of the long dead country music star, sat Lizzo, queen of the lot lizards, and sovereign of everything that smelled like gasoline, cheap coffee, and cheap perfume. Lizzo was a sight to behold. She stood 6 feet tall, her hair a neon pink halo that glimmered under the fluorescent light of the diner. Her eyes were sharp as pistols, always scanning, always calculating. She built her realm from broken dreams of truckers who never made it home and the desperate girls who traded kisses for a night's worth of diesel fumes. Her subjects, men in faded big rig tees and women in garish lot lizard tank tops, looked up looked up to her not just because she ruled, but because she survived. Her most prized possession was Earl, a beefcake of a man who could bench press a 53-foot trailer if the night called for it. He was a hunk of granite, his jaw a solid slab of stone, his swagger as smooth as a freshly paved highway. He'd been Lizzo's boy toy for years, a title he wore with pride, and a leather harness that always seemed to squeak when he walked. It was Thursday that smelled like hot diesel and fried chicken. The diner's chicken staff, Martha, a wiry woman who could fry a pork chop to a perfect crisp while reciting the Lord's Prayer, was busy slinging biscuits and gravy. The lot lizards were lounging on the back of a 2005 Peterbilt, the wind whipping through their hair as they whispered stories about big money that never seemed to make it past the state line. Then an armored truck rolled in. Its matte black steel glinted under the low Tennessee twilight. The guard, a hulking man with a buzz cut and a scar that ran from his left eyebrow to his cheek, slammed the truck's door shut and declared, "Lock it down, boys. Lunch break." The guard's voice boomed across across the lot as the other guard, Slimmer, with a nervous twitch, joined him. You guys want a slice of pie? He asked the dinner staff, eyes flicking to the golden pastries cooling in the display case. Martha laughed. Only if it's not as sweet as the gold your garden, boys. The guards, oblivious to the irony, headed for the diner. They devoured the pie, washed it down with a coffee thicker than the Mississippi, and laughed at the gossips whirling around the lot. A few blissful minutes, the world was a place where only danger was busted. I just gleated. Where danger was busted coffee grinder. When the guard stepped back outside, the air seemed to change. The night held its breath, and the low hum of mischief fluttered through the pine trees at the edge of the lot. Out of the shadows skirted two tiny, wild-eyed leprechauns, each one no taller than the battered traffic cone. Their green coats were tattered, their caps askew, and their eyes glowed with a feral, almost demonic gleam. You think you can keep that gold here, eh? The larger leprechaun snarled, brandishing a crooked iron shank that looked more like a broken spoon than a weapon. The guard with a scar lunged, but his foot caught a slick of the oil from the trucker's drift, sending him sprawling into a mound of truck tires. The other guard tried to draw his service pistol, but the hands were trembling. The leprechaun moved like a pair of angry fireflies, darting, weaving, flashing their teeth. In a burst of chaotic energy, they thrust their shank into the scarred guard's chest. Blood sprayed across the neon sign, staining it crimson for a heartbeat before the crimson faded into night. The second guard, paralyzed by fear, fell to his knees, only to feel a sudden sharp pinch at his throat. When he tried to gasp, the tiny blade sliced his jugular. The leprechauns vanished as quickly as they appeared, leaving behind a mess of oil-slick footprints and a deafening silence of the lot. They had just robbed its biggest security. Earl, who had been refueling his rig a few stalls away, heard the commotion. His eyes narrowed as he saw the two guards crumpled on the ground, the gold-covered armored truck still humming quietly as the doors are ajar. The tiny glistening footprints led into the dark woods bordering the lot and a place locals call a place where old truckers swore they could hear the engine of a phantom rig humming in the wind. Lizzo! Earl shouted, his voice echoing across the parking lot. We got trouble! We got... Lizzo rose from her throne, her high heels clacking against the cracked asphalt like a war drum. She pulled her leather coat tighter around her, the pockets already bulging with a set of brass knuckles and a folded hand-stitched map of the lot's secret tunnels. The queen of the lot lizards just don't rule, they plan. And she had a plan for this. Earl, stay here. I'm gonna go and fetch the green little devils, she said. Her tone equal parts of amusement and malice. If they think they're going to waltz into my kingdom and steal our gold, they got another thing coming. Earl swallowed, glancing back at the truck's open door, shimmering piles of coins and bullion spilling onto the concrete. And then the dark woods. Be careful, he murmured, his voice low as he watched her stride into the night. The hunt. The forest was a tangle of gnarled oaks, low-hanging branches that seemed to whisper ancient curses. The moon, a thin crescent, offered just enough light to make out the faint, luminous footprints left by the leprechauns. Every step the leprechauns took was carefully, silent, and purposefully. She could hear the distant hum of the diesel engines, her own truck idling somewhere far beyond, like a heartbeat reminding her she was not alone. From the hollowed out log, a mischievous giggle echoed. "We've got you now, pretty lady," the larger leprechaun shouted, his voice a high-pitched shriek. Lizzo's eyes flashed. She whipped out her brass knuckles, a metal clinging softly against her pink coat. The leprechauns froze, their eyes widened at the sight of a woman who looked like this. She had been carved from a neon billboard. "Look at you, two pint-sized bandits with more attitude than a 1970s rock band," Lizzo taunted. "You think you can wrestle gold from a kingdom of truckers? You're in over your tiny little heads." The leprechauns lunged. Their movements were like flickering shadows. One darted left, the other right. Their shanks moved like knives singing through the air, sliding at the bottom of the trees. Lizzo ducked, her agility surprising. She slammed the knuckle into the larger leprechaun's rib cage, a sound of bones cracking, just like a dry bag. The sensitive leprechaun tried to retreat, scrambling up the tree, but Lizzo was ready for this. She seized his ankle, yanking him off the branch, slamming him into the forest floor. "You're not getting away." A sudden flash of emerald light burst through the smaller leprechaun's palm. A cursed wind swirl, lifting leaves into a vortex that seemed to pulse in ancient magic. The air crackled, and a low guttural chant rose, a chant that seemed to echo from the very stones beneath their feet. For the heartbeat, Lizzo felt the world tilt, as if the ground itself wanted a shallow to swallow her. Earl, hearing the commotion, burst into the clearing, his massive frame silhouetted against the moonlight. He raised his massive hands and shouted guttural truck engine-like roar that reverberated through the trees. The sound was an unusual mixture of intimidation, pure unadulterated raw power. The leprechaun, already rattled, froze mid-spell. "What the Earl?" Lizzo hissed, her eyes wide as the forest seemed to report its voice. The vines twisted away, and the magic wind died with a whisper. "What do you want with the gold?" Earl demanded, his voice in a low rumble. The larger leprechaun's face turned grotesquely red. "It's for the Emerald Isle, our clan's debt." "Debt?" Lizzo cut in, eyes glinting. "Your clan owes the government of the United States a lot of trouble. Let's see how you get out of it." She dragged the bound leprechauns out of the woods and into the dim glow of the light. Lizzo called herself the local sheriff. A grizzled man named Deputy Hawkins arrived at the cruiser. "Now I've seen a lot of weird shit in this county, but this is the first," Hawkins said. The deputy radioed for the state police. "By the looks of it," the lead agent, "you recovered half the cargo." Lizzo stared at a mound of gold, the gleam catching the midnight sky. She turned to Earl, who was already loading a portion of bullion into his rig. "Let's take what we can. The lot's gonna keep running, too." "I think we've earned ourselves a little bonus," as they looked down at this large pile of gold. They slipped the gold into the back of Earl's truck, the melt clinging softly like a promise. The distant howl of a coyote echoed, and somewhere in the woods the faint mischievous giggle can be heard. Perhaps the leprechauns plotting their revenge, or perhaps simply the night's own laughter at a story that was already becoming a legend. The truck stop kingdom had survived another night of chaos, comedy, and a dash of supernatural terror, proof that in rural Tennessee, the only thing more inexplicable than a busted engine in Lizzo's Queen of the Lot. As for the missing half of the gold, well, that's a story for another night. So they stole the gold. I'm fucking so tired. All right, guys. We did 3 hours tonight. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me. Tay, have a good night. Oh my God. Guys, be safe. Have a good weekend. It's supposed to be cold, I guess, this week, but it's supposed to be warming up, I guess, at the end of next or at the beginning of next week. Not this Monday coming, but next Monday. I think. All right. Thank you for everything. Thank you for hanging out with me. And 60 degrees today. Dude, it was 45 up here. That's about all we had. But thank you, Krista. 75. Oh man, that is so nice. All right. I am crashing. My pillow is calling me. I cannot pull anymore late nights. I gotta take a break tonight. But I love you guys. And I'm signing off. Stay well. Aramic, thank you for the wonderful jokes tonight. George, your jokes were badass too. Have a good night, guys. How do I end this now? What the fuck did they do? They completely messed this up. I don't like this now. Oh, there we are. Boop, end stream. Love you guys.